is absent. So, without further ado, let's hit agenda item 1, which is to receive apologies for absence.
Apologies from Councillor Edwards, Councillor Fazeley and Councillor Jones.
Anybody other apologies received? No? Okay. Item number 2, to note declarations of members' interests.
I have one regarding the Crewe County
Okay.
Centre, the trustee.
Anyone for any more? No, thank you very much. Agenda item 3, to confirm and sign the minutes of the Events and Culture Committee meeting held on the 22nd of May 2024. And the minutes are included. Everybody have a chance to breeze through them.
Yeah.
Anybody have any amendments that they want to? No. Did you say you wanted to?
Move.
Okay, thank you. Seconder? Stuart? Vote please. All in favour that the minutes are true and correct? Any abstention?
I think that was
Tony was
right.
one abstention. That's clearly carried. Item 4, public participation. Do we have any members of the public due to join us now? Agenda item 5, to review the year-to-date financial position for the Events and Culture Committee. Okay.
There's nothing to do there, just noted, there's no anomalies, no scares or
Nobody
anything.
wants to? No. Okay then, just noted in that case. Thank you very much. Agenda item 6, please. Events and Culture Business Delivery Plan update.
So, the first thing I wanted to update you on is one of the music events, one of 4. So it was Picnic in the Park, which took place on the 2nd of June. The event was very well received and had an overwhelmingly positive response to the event. We're still waiting on the football data. However, as you probably saw from pictures on the day, it was very well attended, really busy event, which is what we want. I just wanted to flag that that event wouldn't have been possible without volunteer support that we had on the day from the Friends of Queen's Park, and they provided absolutely exceptional support throughout the day and throughout the run-up, and also that of councillors as well on the day. So thank you for anyone who was involved in that. I think that's a really great example of how volunteers can support an event, and like I said, it couldn't have happened without them. In other areas of the town, we are really struggling to get events volunteers, which I just wanted to flag. We've put out several asks now for members of the public to come forward to volunteer at our events, and we've had 0 responses. So just wanted to flag that as the only negative, because we could have done with, even though we had great support, we could have done with more, and we could definitely do with more at other events.
May I ask, events is coming up and anything like that's not for us, but is it like all of those who are running would be like volunteers for?
Yeah, so most events in the operations summit, volunteer support isn't really required for something like that, because each activity is quite small numbers at a time. But when we've got things like Picnic in the Park, for example, or crazy races like we had this weekend just gone, or Christmas, then without volunteer support we just can't do it. And luckily we've had Rotary Club and the Speak Dance and other groups like that stepping in the past. But they're getting booked up more and more, I think, because other organisations are facing the same problems. So it is something that we do need to definitely champion, and I'll continue to look into other options. One option might be working with charity partners maybe, and doing it that way, allowing them to fundraise in some way so that they can then offer their volunteer support in return. So there are other options, but I did just want to flag that, you know, the picnic part wouldn't have been possible without all the possible, absolutely brilliant on the day.
So, if I can make a request, I know it sounds a bit babyish, but I never quite know what I should be going to kind of semi-officially. So if there's something that you specifically think council should be at, just really make it obvious. If you can send us an invite to our advice, so please come make it really clear. We know what we're going to.
If you've got anything where you want, sorry,
Have you got something which you put out with standard wording for when you're asking for a copy of it? And there are several groups where they want to volunteer for something, but they don't know what they could do.
I think it is, yeah. That was a very good question, then.
if you've got any functions coming up that you want, Rotary Club, make sure you give me enough time and I'll put it to them.
But yeah, other than that, it was all positive. So we did a short evaluation afterwards, just to try and gather some attendee feedback. Obviously, it's a small section of attendees, but every single response that we had was positive, and we had nearly 40 responses, so that gives us a really good picture. The only other thing that I would say that could potentially be improved in future years was the transport to and from the event. We have a lot of people travelling in their bike car, which obviously, we'd like to reduce that for environmental reasons, but also to, reduce the impact on residents. So that was one of the things that came up in the survey. But other than that, like I said, it was overwhelmingly positive. We asked people about their overall experience, and all survey respondents rated the event overall experience as either good or very good, and the majority were very good. So that's a really good reflection of the event. The same with the promotion and marketing, that was really positive feedback, and we've also been able to track where the survey respondents came from on this particular survey, so we can get an idea of not just our reach for the event, but also the reach of our social media, because obviously if they aren't following us, they won't have, in some way, they won't have seen it. So we can see that the event pulls in not just a Crewe audience, it pulls in all wards from Crewe, but it also pulls in attendees from Middlewich, all the way to Nantwich and rural Nantwich, even nearly as far as Whitchurch. So it's had quite a broad reach, which is really positive to see that other people are coming to visit the town. Attendees were also asked how they would rate the quality of the apps and entertainment provided. Again, really positive. People really liked how accessible the bands that we had on were. They were mostly, they were all cover bands, which meant that all members of the audience, they could take part in dance and singing and get on board with what they were viewing. So that was great. And 100% of survey respondents said that they would like to see the event come back in future years. So I think that's really positive, and hopefully, can become an annual event where everyone can enjoy it and grow year by year if that's what members see happening. Also wanted to do an update on the second music event, which is happening at the moment. So that's the youth music event. The dates and timing, they were all picked by the youth audience that have actually designed this event. So Rick and ourselves have worked with three core groups of young people who have been responsible for designing and curating different elements of the event. So there's been like a kind of a core team that have really been the driving force behind it, and have gone out and recruited other young people to the performance side of it, who have decided on that side of it, the marketing side of it, so you will see the lovely videos that we did that went out, and we've also been involved in designing the posters and things like that. And then they're also there today behind the scenes helping the set up, working closely with the facilitators from RIPNIC, so they're learning about sound and lighting and working in the venue, so they've been able to gain some really valuable experience that hopefully will lead to careers in the music industry. So that's been really valuable for them. The reason why we decided to do it in that way was because the colleges and schools that we consulted with before putting this project together identified that there was a lack of opportunity for young people to have experiences in real life settings, partly due to the times and dates that was available, and also due to the safety of it as well. So that's why we've chosen to work with a facilitator who's really experienced in working with young people and keeping them safe in those settings. But that's also why we've allowed the young people to decide when the event is and what the programme is going to be. So hopefully they've got some really valuable learning out of that, and it'll be great to see how the event itself has gone at the end of today. The other two music events I just wanted to flag as a risk, partially because of the struggle that we're having with volunteers in other areas of town, but also the struggle that we've got with venues as well. So obviously, an obvious choice for another venue for music that would be Lyceum Square, but until recently we've not been able to access that space. So that is a risk, and I just wanted to identify that. Hopefully we can try and put something on later on in the summer and into the autumn. But I think that we're going to struggle to get 4 events. I think we might be able to get another one in with support of the contractors that we're working with to programme Lyceum Square throughout the summer. But I just wanted to flag that.
Why?
Like I said, because of the struggle that we've had with volunteer groups, so we're struggling to get enough support to put these events on, basically student support, but also the lack of engagement from the community that we're getting influencing these events, and unless it's a case of us just programming a load of acts that we don't know if people want, it's going to be really difficult to do that. We're not going to be able to do it in the same way as we have done it at Queen's Park. And again, like I said, the lack of venues that are available, there's not many outdoor venues that we can use, and indoor venues have their limits in terms of capacity, meaning that not many people, or as many people as we would like to, can benefit from the events. So.
I was at a function earlier on this year, and they were supposed to have a parade on Lyceum Square, and at the last minute I was told that it was going to be inside the market because the Lyceum Theatre had objected, and I couldn't understand what they had to do with it, because the Lyceum Square, as far as I'm aware, belongs to us. Yes, no?
No, so Lyceum Square, it does belong to Cheshire East Council, but until recently Lyceum Theatre were operating the space in terms of the management of the bookings in the space, so they did have a certain say over what could and couldn't happen in the space, but also with them being neighbours of the space, if they've got a show on, then certain entertainment can affect what they're programming with the noise levels and things, so that is something to bear in mind.
They could effectively pull them if they wanted to, which is not very nice.
Okay.
But yeah, that is one of the issues that is the barriers that has stopped me from progressing programming anything in that space. It has been a risky space until now to put anything on it, because we've not known whether it would be able to actually take place. So that's where we're at with that.
I've been asked quite a few times what's going on here.
We all have, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we have, but I'm in a brew cafe quite a bit, and people often say to me, "What a waste of money," and I can't give them an answer because I didn't know what the answer was. So now that you've explained it, thank you.
We've also supported a number of events over the summer, so Armed Forces Day, which took place over weekend, the 29th and 30th of June. Really well attended again, some really nice entertainment acts there. And also Crew Pride, which took place on the 6th of July. Again, it was a very successful event, all went well and had some really nice acts and really good community engagement around that.
Can I just say, I had one lady ask me if there would be screens up at Crew Pride to show the football. To reply, I just said no. And I also just sort of thought, you're not going to find it.
Also wanted to provide an update on Operation Summer. So you've all got some leaflets. I've also included them in the meeting pack.
He's got one, actually.
And there's also a table of all of the events with a little bit more detail of what we've got on. Not everything fit into that programme, so that just provides a little bit more info. So some things that are in there are summarised into a group of events rather than an individual event. So we have got over 130 activities taking place at various locations across Crewe from the 24th of July until the 31st of August. So it's due to start next week. 8,500 leaflets have hit school bags and sort of local community hotspots around the town this morning. So there'll be lots of excited school children and families out there looking forward to a fun summer at Crewe. As you all know, the feedback that we had last year was just so positive and some really nice outcomes, including local residents saying that it reduced the financial burden that school holidays can have on them. It reduced learning loss over summer, which school teachers identified. You can visibly see that when they compared the children who had participated to the ones who hadn't, which is really positive, particularly the ones who took part in the Summer Reading Challenge, which we'll be shouting about across the summer. And people just loved all the activities that we had on. We were on the doorstep, we didn't need to get in the car or drive, which reduces costs in itself, doesn't it, not having to do that. They're literally walking distance, and there is something every single day of the week to get involved in. It's different times of day, it's for different age groups, so hopefully there'll be something for everyone to get involved in. We've also included in the programme this year the Pop in the Park activities that have been funded through the community committee. The reason we've done that is to try and increase footfall at them as well. And again, like I said, it's another thing that's at another time of day.
Is that the exercise session?
It is, yeah, with everybody leisure and wishing well. So they are included in there as well. Obviously, with the situation with the library and the budget cuts that they've faced, they have been able to support a bit less this year, so it has been a little bit more time heavy for us to programme this year. A lot of the activities that happen in the library are ones that we've put on, we've sought out different facilitators rather than being library staff supporting with them. So that has obviously increased some of the costs a bit this year, so we just want to flag that. But yeah, really positive programme. We've got some really good acts from some really well-known theatre companies and other entertainment acts that you see at the likes of local festivals such as Just So that just aren't accessible to our audience. So I think it's hopefully going to be a really fun summer for families.
Well done. Thank you very much.
I noticed that there's nothing going on at Sherborne Park. I know it's not here, but it's sad about that. Mm.
Okay, any comments on item 6? Agenda item number 7, Heritage Business Delivery Plan update.
So the report is very exciting. Just a couple of things that I wanted to bring your attention to. It has been a period of initiating projects with a lot of groups involved at the moment we're about to go live. The community group engagement is to appoint a specialist to develop a project or projects to mark the 80th anniversary of the Second World War next year in order to work with community groups to help highlight heritage narratives that are often overlooked. So we have the railway narrative of the crew, but we're trying to widen that anyway, but then within the areas that we need to improve that representation. So the brief is now live, with the closing date of the 31st of July, and we've had quite a lot of interest already, so that's looking good. School workshop support, we've advanced the workshop at the Heritage Centre for Key Stage 2 around the crew works. We are now recruiting freelancers to enable delivery for that, and this budget will support crew schools to access that for free. Just to add to that, the school packs that were also produced during that project have gone live today on our website and have been sent to all crew teachers and South Cheshire teachers of all schools, so around about 17 in total, which will allow school children to access heritage in a local setting around the Industrial Revolution, the Second World War, and that migration to and from crew. Under heritage projects, the report is generic that the facts that are in the tube and what Welsh are in process, but not too much too significant update on there. The learning officer, we are looking to appoint a freelance bid writer to go for funding for a learning officer at the Heritage Centre. The brief for that is written but won't go live until the bids have run their course. And the fellow booking taxation, that's just to note that that won't start until 2025. The conservation area appraisal reports into the planning committee, but just to update you that we are on the development of that, and the document, the first draft of that document is now being engaged on to just see how that develops. And then the final thing I wanted to raise was the Heritage Open Days. The activities are now live on our website in the events and culture section. They're also live on the National Heritage Open Days website. The report says that we have 20 activities. I just wanted to highlight that actually there's 35 separate opportunities to engage with heritage because of the number of events that we run. And we have 22 partners involved this year, with the Heritage Fair being the kind of flagship element of that, hosted at the Heritage Centre on the 14th of September. We currently have 21 organisations that are taking part in that, representing Crew's heritage.
Thank you very much. Any comments? Yeah, thanks, Ben.
I just wondered with the, so it's gone to all of the crew schools. I wonder if we could, if it'd be worthwhile to sort of set up sort of a teacher's meeting, like these teacher meetings occasionally. So it's not for us to teach them how to do it, but they would come and share what they've done. Maybe like in March or something like that, when they've had a bit of, give them early warning and say, we'd like you to try these things out and then come back here. This is only 14 primary schools. Not everyone will turn up, but that'd be quite, I'd like you to.
There's been significant interest in these days, and more around local pride, actually history curriculum, so building that into it. So that is something that we're looking at. We're also looking to, we want to get them up before the summer holiday for planning for the autumn term, but we'll be pushing it again in September alongside the visit opportunity at the Heritage Centre.
Anybody else? So agenda item number 8, please. Heritage Centre update and request for funding officer.
So the report is to consider the fundraising for the proposed redevelopment of the Heritage Centre. The report outlines some of the significant infrastructure work that the Heritage Centre manager, supported by myself, has had to be putting in place. This ranges from things building maintenance, so looking at toilet infrastructure, that kind of thing, admission offer. Through to the installation of new facilities, we've also had to do things like expiry electrical testing, asbestos surveys, lots and lots of compliance things. And now into policy development and training, so safeguarding, protection, all that kind of thing. More recently, we have been able to focus on the programme we visit to offer, and most recently we had the call time for the Black 5, that was 60%, and before that, we saw a significant increase in income through that event, and also a lot of social media interest around it, which showed the interest and passion with this heritage and growth. This numbers for the year today, so we currently have 37 days of opening, and we're at 4,700. So we do okay, that's about where we were last year, but we're about to hit the same period, so as we move into that, we'll see an increase hopefully. So to continue to develop the Heritage Centre, we know that we'll require a large capital redevelopment. The feasibility study was completed in March 2024 by the UK Prosperity Fund, and it shows that the process of redevelopment of the site into a visitor attraction and scale are sustainable. I can't share those with you because the trustees haven't had a chance to look at those, but as soon as we can, we'll share those with you. However, to achieve that visitor attraction scale, it's also necessary to develop a professional capacity to increase the impact and outcomes of the centre. Any project would require significant fundraising, including grant funding of scale, so talking about things like National Lottery, Wealth and Trust, that kind of level. The Heritage Centre manager needs to continue to develop the site and ensure compliance, so that there's no capacity to take this on, and it would be less likely to be successful as an add-on to a job description anyway, so we're looking for an area of focus. We're therefore proposing a funding officer role is required. The proposal would be for the trust, so the Crewe Heritage Trust, to fund the role in its entirety, initially for a period of 2 years, with the expectation that the post would secure significantly more funding income than the cost of employment. However, as the trust is entirely volunteer-led, it's not the most sustainable position to act as a direct employer. So while the intent is to bring the trust to a position of entire independence and to be a direct employer, we currently host the Crewe Heritage Centre manager, and this model provides a sustainable operational model. So the considerations that we see today are therefore that Crewe Town Council acts as the host employer for a Heritage Centre fund manager, that the post is fully funded by the Crewe Heritage Trust with the expectation and requirement that it will generate income significantly greater than the cost of employment, that the post is added to the council staffing structure reporting to the Heritage Manager, and that the post definitions are approved by the Personnel Subcommittee prior to approval.
Any comments?
Just for absolute clarity and context, we don't operate the Heritage Centre. We've been asked by the Heritage Trust some time ago to support them in operating that, which is what we do. We advise and Vicky and then carry an awful lot of weight getting through the bureaucracy and operational aspects of it. But it's still the Trust's site, still the Trust's operation, still the Trust's thing. We just recognise the value of it, and therefore council agreed to commit resource in terms of time to support it. This is not an ask of any additional resource that was already there in terms of time. This is an ask of act as a host employee, which we already do for Mayor anyway. It was mostly not all paid by the Trust. This is entirely paid for by the Trust host, but they're not in a position to act as a host employee. And in the past, I've had direct experience having employee funding officers. They generate multiples of income more than their cost of employment. So it's essential to the trust.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because that's what I do. And yes, the cost of employing someone to do this is more than paid for. It's an excellent idea. I think we should support them.
Yeah.
I'm proposing it.
Thank you, Sally.
I'll second it.
Thank you, James. All in favour?
Yeah.
Stuart, no abstaining. Really carried, thank you very much. Agenda item number 9. Crew Muriel. Request for extension of the ongoing Crew Arts Development and Trail project.
Okay, so as you're aware, we were awarded £90,000 of funding to deliver a Crew Arts Development and Trail project from the UK SCF fund. This project is all about laying foundations for future public art projects by working with the community to develop their skills, knowledge, and also empower them basically to participate in creative and cultural activity. So it's all about building on current skills and also building up that creative community as well, so hopefully pulling more people into that traditionally haven't offered spaces too. So the first 2 phases of the project are now complete. So phase 1 was all about stakeholder mapping, initial summary reports and vision. So that was all about kind of analysing past projects, past consultation and evaluation, to see where the gaps were and what needed development through this project. We've now just completed phase 2, which was community consultation and starting that co-design of the project and the co-design of the theme for the project. So that is now complete. Based on the consultation and co-design report, an impact framework has been produced. These are first drafts, so I have now gone back to Council Culture with some feedback because I didn't think it reflected the work that we want to do with young people. When I say young people, I'm talking about a 12 to 24 age group, not 12 to below age group. So that has been reflected, and they have been trying very hard to engage with that age bracket, but it's proved very difficult. So that's the main change that I've gone back to them with, that needs to be reflected, and we need to think about how we engage with that age group moving forward. It might be a case of bringing them along on a journey through involvement in workshops that go towards producing a commission, rather than kind of asking them what they want to see at this stage. It might be involved in that way. So that's all in that. At your own leisure. And then from these documents that have been created, we have now received a first draft option proposal for different artworks and commissions that we would like to look into. Again, I've gone back with some feedback on this. I'll just talk you through what they've sent over. I've got them on the big screen as well to show you. So this is the updated version, so I'm going to show you this rather than what I've included in the pack. So the overarching theme for the project is making Crewe. So that's about making Crewe in terms of Crewe's industrial heritage and the history of making Crewe, but also making Crewe for the future. That's where that's come from the young people that we have managed to engage with, so that'll be that youth strand. But also creating private place in Crewe as well, that's another strand to that making Crewe. So these are the 4 strands that will kind of influence the 4 briefs that will go out for artist commissions. And then from that, we've got a little bit more detail on each of them. So commission 1 would be a co-created commission, stitching together. So that would be looking into Crewe's textile heritage, looking at textile processes, and also working with one of the audiences that the consultation has identified as not engaged with arts and culture, particularly in through, which is women and girls. They found that a lot of men have come forward and said, I'm an artist, I want to do some work for this project, but they're not getting a lot of women and girls engaging, which is quite telling that they don't have the confidence or feel like they've got the skills to do that. So this would be a piece that would be around developing that, working with Motherwell, Alpha Omega WPS Foundation, and other organisations in town, maybe organisations such as OSHA and other groups, so that we're working on identifying. As I said, this would be a co-created commission, so it would be about involving as many people as possible to create a professional looking piece of artwork. So this is one of the outcomes that was suggested. So this project is called Domestic Clusters, and it was working with an artist called Vanessa Marr. And this was a really collaborative approach that allowed lots of different members of the community she was working with to get involved. They all had the opportunity to create their own textile pieces, which were then displayed in various different buildings around the town that this was in. As you can see, it's really collaborative. These are just to clarify, these are just kind of ideas in terms of like their concept. This isn't going to be the exact thing that is produced. It's just ideas that a brief will go out.
These are examples
Yeah,
of what other people have achieved.
That kind of align with that brief.
Yeah.
So that's quite a nice one that really addresses that need. The second one would be around remaking crew. So this would be the youth strand of the project. And they have suggested working with an artist such as Sherry Griffiths, who works with community groups to produce collages around certain themes, and then she collates those collages into an overall design. So not only do you have this huge piece of artwork that lots of people can identify with, but they can also go and look at that artwork and sort of seek out their individual part of it and feel that real sense of ownership over the piece, which is going to be really key to this project and making sure that people in the community look after those pieces of art and also hopefully go on to create more pieces of art. So that's quite nice there. The third strand would be around wall treatments and murals. So I've got some examples of them and what I mean by that. So there's lots of different ways that can be done. But yeah, I've just included a couple of examples of different ones that might be appropriate. And again, that would be around that pride of place. So it would be very much telling the story of crew, which story that would be kind of designed through the process of creating that artist brief. And that would be based on the consultation. There. And then the final one needs to be defined. So this would be, so I've just added this in here to show that there would be another piece that would be commissioned. So that would be designed through an advisory board who would, from the current cultural community, who would bring along on a journey to develop an artist brief. They then sit on that advisory board to influence the decisions that were made and which artists were chosen for commissions. So that's that one. In addition to that would be pop-up co-curated installations and exhibitions around the town, so they would take place in empty shop units, maybe market hall units and other locations wherever is available. So that would be existing pieces of artwork that people could showcase and curate into kind of mini pop-up exhibitions, which gives local talent the opportunity to showcase what they're doing. And then I also just wanted to touch on the Town Council building mural. So in a previous meeting, members expressed that they would be interested in exploring the costs associated with painting up the side of the building. as this will be the southern gateway eventually, and this will be an entry point into the town. And I've looked into those costs. Click too many times. So the counterculture who we are working with on the current the arts project as it stands, they have submitted costings, a quote for extending the project and project managing the site of the building overall. So those costs are included in that, and they've also indicated what it would cost for us to commission an artist as well. So the total amount that we would be looking at to extend the project would be £20,000, just to make sure that we covered any unseen costs. So that is the ask, and I would suggest that we would look at a mural similar to this that was created by an artist called Jazz Stan in Baltic Market in Liverpool. As you can see, it's very much about the place. You look at that straight away and you think Liverpool. It's quite literal, but I think that is what is needed on this entry point here to give that real sense of arrival and crew. Obviously, it would be all crew-related motifs that were included on that, but that's just an example of the type of thing that we might want to look at.
Yeah, just so that route, I don't know if people know that it was the Iron Bridge that went across the railway line a long time ago, and there was a move to call it Iron Bridge Way, and we have pictures of the original Iron Bridge there. So I think that celebration of space and connectiveness that Crew's famous for, I think it's something that will reflect that. Yeah, and it's got to have the train over somewhere where people like it. Sort of forward looking.
Yeah, I think there is absolutely no doubt that a lot of Crew's heritage is tied to the railway and the history of railways as a whole, but it does get a bit sort of, you can't move the trains, so everything's got to have trains on it and all the rest of it, and there's so much more to Crew, and there has been for maybe a couple of generations now. So, yeah, I get your point about, doesn't necessarily have to have a train on it because everything else has.
I'll just say that in terms of adding to that, it's something that's come up in conversation before, is that as we move further into the 21st century, the 20th century is just as much as something to celebrate in terms of the town's story as much as it is the 19th century. So it's important, I think, to make sure that certain things are noted from the 20th century, even late 20th century, to really kind of give people that nostalgic feeling, to have that certain recognition that people remember that, as opposed to just being historic.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that can definitely be done through design like this by using kind of iconic places, or motifs of iconic kind of like memories of Crew. I think that can quite easily be done. This would be an open call, so there would be a brief around make a mural that is very obviously in your face Crew. Obviously, much more detailed than that, and we would see what designs were submitted for this commission. So there would be an option to kind of look at those submissions as well and see what we felt most kind of resonated with the town.
Sally, I think I get your point about we overdue trains, but it is very much an important part of what Crew is and always has been. and always will be. So rather than a train, what about the symbol, which is the train wheel? Because that says this is Crewe, isn't it? So I think it's just a thought. But yeah, good point that it's not trains.
There's a danger of starting to design it now this table.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Ben, yeah.
So I'm just glad for it. I mean, there's a nice photograph. So if you the only way you'll see that is when you're on the Gateway Walk, because the angle of the building. And if you're standing on the Gateway Walk before these buildings, you would have seen the bridge just recently. And there's a really nice photograph of when that bridge was decorated for Queen Victoria's visit. And it's in black and white. To recreate the view that used to be there before the buildings, it's very abstract.
There was the what used to be called GPO building, which was actually a nationally celebrated piece of architecture because it was built as a bowed building because it had to fit the railway line that went past it, and it was a GPO building, and trains literally went past it to drop mail off, that went around the works and all that sort of thing. That's where you went with your wages.
On this side of the bridge?
No, that side of the bridge.
Oh, general offices.
Yeah, and in the early 80s it burned down.
Yeah.
And it was bought out by a company, and then mysteriously burned down. But that's where I had my first job when I was 4 years old, and I used to help my nana by putting the salt and pepper out on the canteen tables. That, you know, if you look straight down there, past that bridge was this huge bow front building that was the GPO building. If you can find pictures of that, that was sort of a nationally famous piece of architecture.
Yeah, the view that you see from this side is just that plain wall. It's quite a thin building, isn't it?
Yes, it was broad front, and then yeah, absolutely. A big engineering building after it.
And if I may, I was part of that when I joined in the consultation for the mural on the car park. And there was all kinds of, it was a very unsatisfactory process, if I remember. And in the end, nobody liked the design, if I'm remembering this rightly. And then somebody else said, right, let's do this, and that went through. And it's okay, in the end it won, but it wasn't really a long, fairly, it's got to be a thorough and transparent process of choosing that stuff. And it's not for us, any one of us to say what's good and what's bad. It has to be reflecting what people want.
To give some reassurance that when back to the very much in the beginning of the history of the as I was saying, the narrative was interesting in quite a one-dimensional way, and that real narrative is there, but how we nuance it is really important in conversation areas, and it's significant information around the importance of the works, and that we need to start talking about Crewe as a workplace town. It was established because the works came here and the infrastructure grew out of that was from the railway. So that is our heritage, but then we develop that and the skills that we learn with the kind of comments that you've got the museum doing Crewe at War next year is because we've been bringing out that 26,000 marine engines that we developed, the tanks that we built in Crewe, the cars that we now go through air to air and roads. So it just pointing that out as a key objective.
We're looking at factories.
It's all kind of clothing factories, exactly. So I just want to give some reassurance that you're right. It was a difficult process last time, but I think that's because that information wasn't readily available. But the last few years have been designed significantly to be able to use that.
Dennis, did you?
Yes, please. I think that somewhere in the town there should be a clock tower in a mural, because even now, I don't know about the other councillors, but I still get earache about when are we going to get the clock tower back, and we have to explain to them never. But it's there. Maybe one day we might be able to do something, get it put somewhere, because it's in the Heritage Centre, and it seems to placate them a little bit. But I think if we're going to have
I know what you're thinking.
if we're going to have murals in the town, I'm not saying just that, but if that could be put in one of them, I think it appeals a lot of people.
Were you about to say we could use the actual clock face on the mural?
Even if not that, why not put a clock there? I was watching the guy mend the clock in Queen's Park, and I was expecting lots of brass clocks and things. It's just no actual moment. It's different. There's nothing very bad. But wouldn't it be great if you just drill a hole through the wall and just put a clock on the outside? You know, and then a mural around it, or
Incorporate the clock face into the
as you walk past and you see the time, oh, I missed my train. I mean, I think public clocks are really, it's like public clocks, public drinking fountains, and there's none in the town.
Health and safety, old chap. Health and safety.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're in danger of design.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I warned myself about.
Peter, would you like to speak?
I think what you've demonstrated there, there'll be a lot of interest in the consultation phase of this, before it's designed out. And you were asked in this report, the Office of the Property Advisors Committee to look into what would be involved in muralising this data here. And that's what's come to you. It will require council ratification by the basis of recommendations as council if you have a view to support it.
Yes.
Have you got a proposal?
Yeah. Oh, Sally. Sally, I had a hand up. You're at a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favour?
With it.
Thank you, everybody. Clearly carried. Item 10 on the agenda. Lyceum Square Animation Project Summer/Autumn 2024 update.
Yes, so in the last meeting, members directed us to look into what would be required for us to take on programming only of Lyceum Square throughout summer and autumn 2024. So since then, the tender has gone out, and we have appointed a successful contractor who will take on the animation and activation of that space over the summer-autumn period. We've also now got an agreement with Cheshire East for that encompasses everything that the Kids Service is required for us to be able to do that in that space. So that's really positive. They will still remain responsible for any maintenance of the space and any issues with that space. We are simply coming in to programme it throughout the summer and autumn of this year, and that is all that has been approved budget-wise. So I just wanted to go through the timeline of what we've got planned a little bit. I know you're probably all getting questions about it. So we did some consultation at Crazy Races, and thank you to those of you who helped with that. That was really positive, and we've got some really good ideas of things that people would like to see in the space, so that's really positive. We're also going to try and programme in line with what other venues in the town that are programming have got on. So, for example, the Lyceum, I think we've got a science show on the 1st of August, which will be the first day of programming, so we will do something science related earlier in the day that then creates a larger visitor offer that kind of keeps people in the town centre for longer on that day, and will also engage the market to see something else that they could do that also adds to that offer. So that, and obviously other venues in the town. So that's the kind of idea that we've got from it. So throughout August, the community fund activity fund will launch. So we're going to have a fund that will support community groups to put on activities in the space, so they can apply for that, so they'll submit a proposal, and if it's successful, then we will support them to deliver their event or activity in that space. So that could be dance groups, it could be different music groups, choirs, other community groups that have got another talent that they want to show in Lyceum Square. And that will be around 4 events that will be brought in by the contractors in the space. So at this stage, obviously it's quite last minute that we're going to be programming. We've only just appointed them this week. it will be a case of whatever we can get at this stage. So we do just want to make you aware of that, that it is going to be difficult, and we are going to have to, have a look around and see what we can get. Toolkits will also begin to be developed throughout August, so there'll be toolkits that will support future delivery in the space, so that will support community groups. And we'll also have a bookings page set up so that community groups who already have the funds and means to put something on in the space, so maybe local radio stations or somebody like that who want to use the space to talk about what they do and promote what they've got going on, they can submit an application to use the space through that booking platform. But that will only be open for summer autumn this year, because once that comes to an end, we have no way of managing that booking system. So again, just wanted to make you aware of that in case you get any questions on it. We will also begin to look at setting up a Friends of Lyceum Square group. So they will be a group of volunteers similar to somebody like the Friends of Queen's Park, who are kind of voluntary custodians of that space and really champion it, and will support with future events that are delivered in that space. That is the hope for it. But obviously things like that do take years to develop. We don't happen overnight, so this will very much be the start of it. But what I can say is, based on the consultation that we did over the weekend, there were several people who were interested in being involved in that. So that is really positive. I think if people have got a thing that they can take ownership of, then they're willing to get involved. So that is positive. And again, they're people that perhaps we can also ask if they want to be involved in volunteering at other events. Throughout September, there'll then be a weekend events programme, and so there'll be something on either on a Saturday or a Sunday each weekend throughout September. The community fund will be closed throughout September because there isn't as much time to programme, and that will allow us some space to evaluate what's being done and add to those toolkits. And programming for the October half-term events will begin during that time. So we'll have a little bit more lead into that October half-term programme. So then into October, evaluation and consultation will continue, and then we'll have a full week of programming throughout October half-term. So that will provide a really positive opportunity to make sure that there's lots going on. And that also includes community groups activity again. And then November will be evaluation of the project, which you can keep hold of for whoever might want to take on that programming of the space moving forwards. And then toolkits will be distributed. So that's where we're at with it. And the successful contract with Sarah Voucher Events, so they submitted an application and was successful. And they're also the organisation that is responsible for events such as Crazy Racers. They have got a lot of experience of working in town centres and also working with local authorities, so they really are the same pair of hands for this project.
I'd just like to commend the team around this, because I think it's a very rapid, agile solution to what seems like an intractable problem. So it's like a third way, because we were stuck in that. They went to this, they went to this, but now we're actually taking charge.
I'll second that. Fantastic.
Yeah, and I'd like to echo that sentiment as well. May I ask a question about, I'm dreading this, and you've already preempted it, but the Olympics coming up, will there be scope to show any of the Olympics on the screen?
Hopefully, it is something that we are looking into, but it just depends on certain licensing and whether we can resolve that in time to put it on the screen. Because obviously none of that is in place at the moment, so it does need some looking into, which Sarah Voucher Events will be doing over the next few weeks. So, but yes, it is on my radar.
If I'm right, I think it depends on who's showing these different things. Because I know someone said to me, did I know that Sky wanted a fortune to watch one of the football matches? Yeah. So, but obviously it just depends whether or not they're going to put a price on it or not.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Meeting that. So, right, already agenda item 11, budget setting.
Now, so this each committee meeting, the budget setting process starts at the end of July. It goes to each committee twice. This is the first look at this committee. It's a draft budget and forms part of the overall corporate budget. It's in line or takes consideration of being in line with the corporate strategy, and it takes consideration, obviously, of any potential impact on the bottom line or risks to increasing the precepts, which is not the aim of this process. The budget you see in front of you is not wildly dissimilar in bottom line from years previous. The major anomaly would be the UK SPF hospital funding, which is a nil balance because it's £70,000 expenses, £70,000 income. So that gives also the bottom line figure a little bit. There is a challenge to the officer of trying to generate some income, not massive income, but just to balance that out a bit of £5,000. That's a new feature in there. That is a challenge, and understanding the start with. Please remember, and I know I say this each time, that you are about to have a summer with over 130 activities delivered by one officer. You're also with the Christmas lights and sports remembrance, sports and real lights, Operation East, Operation Autumn, the various activities happening at Christmas, the music events. Yeah. I think we have a very modern approach to that. I'm not going to take off track, but the B that's happened, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's all coming from one desk.
Yeah.
And supported by a team, we all work together and try and make it happen. So I will be absolutely clear to expect any more from one desk is entirely unfeasible. And I'll tell you now, I would not deliver that much if I was sat at that desk. That's not because I'm brilliant, but I want you to know you cannot be expected more. But need more of this, that's entirely right, you need more, but you've got one person.
Yes.
And I make that point very clearly because I am personally, I've said it openly, challenged by the Lifestyle Square situation. It's a great asset to the town in the sense of having that capital investment town, but it is a very challenging event space. An active highway, restricted space, with neighbours who need to operate quite right because they were there first. And that creates an event space a very restricted option. It's been suggested in past meetings, and we put it in the draft budget, which is circulated to you all, that might be an ongoing seasonal approach. What we're doing this year, we could spread out year on year on year. And so that's why there's a number in there, which is very similar to this year's cost of running it for the field. I'm going to ask you an open question out of the blue. You don't have to make a decision today, but budget and time to talk about it. Is that the most financially efficient way to deliver it? You get a seasonal response with a commercial gain from the contract, you have the right to have commercial gain, for effectively the same money as employing a full-time officer to do some more days. They could do licensed work, as well as, because it's full-time, other things. And if I would still argue that I'm worried by saying this, because I still think what's coming out of one office is a lot. But I am personally saying that focusing all that investment on licensed wear focuses all that investment on those restrictions identified earlier. So I'm throwing some mix of thoughts, that's all, not trying to push it down the road. If that amount of money is staying in the budget, is that the best way to spend it? That's my question. Put forward. So as an example, we have two options. Say we've got three options to do nothing. One option is go for season and go like we're going to go, which is great. Positive start this year. It's a great jump in. Sense. I've got a quick response to amazing that. But is it the long term? And that's why I asked that question.
Suggesting a potential option would be to employ someone else to two desks doing things.
Of course, that's an option, yes. Not a command, by the way.
No, yes.
When I look at the number,
Yeah,
I must then think about, is that the most efficient use of £50,000?
well,
We don't pay the officer £50,000, but it costs me to give
yeah.
him some money to buy nets and things
Mm,
and all that sort of jazz as well as pay their wage.
mm,
But for the same money,
send
you
me,
have a full year service.
pushing.
Um,
Because the rest of what we deliver, well,
Yeah.
the rest.
So that's a rough consideration I've had since producing the budget to go to this meeting over the last week or so, and I'm asking you to put into your considerations how you would like to go forward. Going season is absolutely fine, you have the power to do that, it's very clear. We're just going to aim at effectively the sunny months may go towards the hot term. That's absolutely clear and absolutely fine. And I'm just challenging that process the right way.
I would be 100% in favour of getting somebody in if, I won't say guaranteed, but if it could be proved to me that they would be cost effective. Somebody could come in and raise the money basically to pay their wages. I'd be in favour of it.
That's what I'm
No, no, no.
That's a funding officer.
Yeah.
This is delivery of events.
Yeah.
Different thing we're doing about it.
So just to get the Sarah Belcher says up to 50,000 of reserves. How much of the strain is that lighting square with Sarah Belcher?
What Sarah Belcher will do is programme activities through August, part of September, and part of September. That's what they'll do.
So it seems to me that, from what you said, the 50,000, really, when you consider what we're getting delivered, like you said, in Woodlook throughout, that seems better value for money and everything else that we do, compared to that. We just wanted to have it right.
That's
That's how
my
it seems to me,
perception.
that's how it seems to me, so therefore, I would say, although we did want that and Rose managed to achieve it, because we did have the in-between void, not using the space, waste of time, so it's good that we've been able to actually have some activity on there, because I get the same questions, nothing's happening with it, what's happening with it, why aren't we using it, blah, 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 blah. Having said that, I would rather see it more in-house. Okay, I'm not using the right words, but I would rather see it more in-house as much as it comes into, say, we have money to spend within the town, but we have the same link that you've just created, Rosie, which is still owned by Fisheries, yeah, but somehow it comes into what we do or you do, Rosie, within the town hall instead, than to pay somebody outside of that. Because at the moment, if you pick Sarah, I've got that, then to me, then it's enough delivery. That's basically what I'm saying for the money. Yeah. I think, yeah, that's mine.
Firstly, I agree with what Ben said. It's great that we're agile and we've done something to make it happen now. I think it's quite right to point out, going forward, is this the best way to use that money? And what I sort of thought you were suggesting, but maybe I'm suggesting it, is that money could instead be used to employ somebody who could do this and other stuff.
That's what we suggested.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm very much in favour of that as well. Yeah. It's a better way to use the funds than just the same thing over and over.
Yeah, well, I've also done a thorough look at quite strongly. This is a draft budget, and if I was sat on the other end of the table, I would suggest that an officer might come forward for the next look at this with that options appraisal to look at the cost benefits of different approaches, and whether that amount of money stays in there focused on licence work, focused on greater event delivery and other forms, models, including licence. I'm not excluding this.
No.
that might actually damage you because you've got another meeting to have a look at this. You're not going to make any decisions tonight.
No, I mean, I was with the same impression that Lyceum Square and other properties is the same thing. So you include it and it would be more to control.
I just wanted to clarify. So we are happy about the fact that with Sarah Belcher, it allows us to immediately tackle those concerns from residents of Crewe that we've got events on now. But what we're saying is that that's the kickstart. It will give us time now to consider what happens next.
Yeah.
We're not talking about scrapping more.
No,
Just to confirm.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
No,
Just to check.
no.
No, and also you're looking at I started this conversation. You're looking at a draft budget, which you're not being asked to approve. You're being asked to inform.
Yeah.
So then have another look at it at the next meetings committee, which you will then ask to recommend to council.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is the first course looking at it,
Yeah.
and it's a good time to start the conversation.
Yeah. Can we?
Ben was first, sorry.
I like the idea of friends of Lyceum Square. It's feasible, because looking at the time scale for the stuff, is to get a group like that going, and get their views on that specific question. So we have a broader, because we might say, oh yeah, we should have everything on the Lyceum Square pack. But given the early comments about the difficulty of finding volunteers and community backing and stuff like that, I would like to get a more secure view of what the artistic and cultural community might want before I make any big decisions about major budget.
From my point of view, I think the issue with that is if we were to go down the road of having an employee in this building, they wouldn't just be looking after the Lyceum Square, and therefore it wouldn't just be Friends of Lyceum Square. There would be all sorts of other organisations that would have to. So I think if we keep that decision in council, I think we'd probably be a safer bet.
Yeah, because they will always have vested interest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, Sally.
Train of thought. Yes, come back.
You were trained.
We're trained. So we're not being asked to make any decisions on this because this is just the first look at it.
Yep.
But can we ask that other options for using this rather than continuing with Sarah, but Belcher here on the can be investigated?
That'd be a really helpful thing for
So-
them to be able to see
I would
what it
like to
might
propose
look
that
like.
we do that.
Comparisons.
Yeah.
You have the present directly.
Yeah. Do it then. Thank you.
With the ultimate aim of it being sort of not next distraction, but self-supporting in some way. That's what we want.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm sorry, didn't I say that earlier? And I was told this is. I'm confused.
Do you need us to make any kind of?
On the item on the agenda, are you comfortable with the figures demonstrated in the first draft for this committee? And in the next meeting, you have to just confirm those figures or change them accordingly.
Thank you.
And you could part of that consideration, for example, some modelling out of what that area of funding will
Do you need a vote?
look like. Particularly,
That is
happy, just agree.
Yeah, not all round the table. Thank you. And the last, but most important item on the agenda is to note the proposed date of the next meeting on the 7th of October 2024 at